In the summer of 2012, my neighbour Harold was 71 years old. He had lived in the same house for 38 years. He knew every creak in the floor, every draft in winter, every spot where the afternoon sun came through the west window and lit up the dust in the air. He knew that house the way you only know a place you have lived in for decades. That July we had a heat wave. 9 days in a row above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. On the 6th day, Harold's daughter called me. She said her father was not answering the phone. She lived 4 hours away. She asked if I would check on him. I walked across the field between our properties and knocked on his door. No answer. I tried the handle, unlocked. I went inside. The temperature inside Harold's house was 108 degrees Fahrenheit. I checked it with a thermometer I carried back from my barn. 108 degrees inside a closed house in the middle of the afternoon, with no air conditioning running and no windows open, because Harold had been told as a young man that you keep the windows closed in a heatwave to keep the hot air out. Harold was in his recliner in the living room, conscious, confused. His skin was dry and hot to the touch. He had not had water in several hours because he said he did not feel thirsty. His daughter called an ambulance. Harold spent 3 days in the hospital being treated for heat exhaustion that was hours away from becoming heat stroke. He recovered fully. He was lucky. Every summer across the United States, thousands of people Harold's age are not lucky. The Centers for Disease Control reports that heat is the leading weather-related cause of death in this country. More than hurricanes, more than floods, more than tornadoes. And the people who die are overwhelmingly older adults living alone in homes without adequate cooling, often on fixed incomes that make running an air conditioner all day feel financially impossible. Often with physical conditions that impair their body's ability to regulate temperature the way a younger person's body does. I'm telling you this at the beginning of this video because I want you to understand that what I am about to show you is not a money-saving tip. It is a safety system. The $4 fix I'm going to walk you through today is the method my family has used for generations to keep a house livable in extreme summer heat without air conditioning. It works. I have measured it. On a 95-degree day, the methods in this video will reduce the temperature inside a closed house by 15 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit. The difference between 108 degrees and 83 degrees is not comfort. It is the difference between dangerous and safe. If you are watching this and you are over 65, or if someone you love is over 65 and living alone this summer, please watch this entire video. Share it with them. The knowledge in it costs $4 to implement, and it could save a life. Let me start by correcting the single biggest mistake that Harold made and that most people make during a heat wave, because it is counterintuitive and it kills people every summer. Do not keep your windows closed during a heat wave to keep the hot air out. I understand the logic. It feels right. It is wrong. And here is why. During a heat wave, the air outside is hot. But the walls, ceiling, floors, furniture, and every object inside your house are absorbing heat from sunlight coming through the windows and from the warm air that entered the house during the previous days. These surfaces store heat. They radiate it back into the room. They become heat sources themselves. Inside a closed house with no ventilation during a sustained heat wave, the indoor temperature rises progressively higher than the outdoor air temperature because the heat stored in the building structure has nowhere to go. This is why Harold's house was 108 degrees when the outdoor temperature was 95. The house had been storing heat for 6 days with no ventilation to release it. The correct strategy during a heat wave has 2 phases, and they operate on opposite schedules. During the night and early morning, when the outdoor temperature drops below the indoor temperature, open every window and every door in the house that can be safely opened. Create cross-ventilation by opening windows on opposite sides of the house. The cooler night air flows through the house, contacts the warm walls and furniture and floors, absorbs that stored heat, and carries it outside. You are using the cool night air to pull the stored heat out of the building structure itself. By sunrise on a clear morning, if you are ventilated properly through the night, your indoor surfaces will be close to the overnight low temperature rather than the previous day's high. This gives you a dramatically better starting point for the coming hot day. When the outdoor temperature in the morning begins to rise above your indoor temperature, close everything. Every window, every door, every blind and curtain on every sun-facing window. Now you are trapping the cool air you brought in during the night inside the house and blocking the sun from heating the interior surfaces further. This two-phase strategy, ventilate aggressively at night, close and block during the day, is the foundation of how my family has managed summer heat on this property for generations. It works in any climate where the nighttime temperature drops at least 10 to 15 degrees from the daytime high, which includes most of the continental United States, except for the most humid coastal regions. The $4 product that makes this system dramatically more effective is aluminium foil window insulation. Standard household aluminium foil costs approximately $4 for a box large enough to cover several windows. Cut pieces of foil large enough to cover each window on the south and west facing sides of your home, the sides that receive direct afternoon sun. Tape the foil to the inside of the window glass with the shiny side facing outward. The foil reflects the radiant heat from the sun back through the glass before it can enter the room and heat the interior surfaces. Studies from the Department of Energy show that window coverings with a reflective surface on the side facing the window glass reduce solar heat gain through that window by up to 70%. 70% of the solar heat that would have come through your west-facing windows on a summer afternoon is reflected back outside by $4 worth of aluminium foil applied in 15 minutes. This is not a new discovery. My grandfather used reflective materials on his windows in summer. Every culture that has lived in hot climates before air conditioning understood the principle of blocking radiant solar heat at the window. The modern version is aluminium foil. It is cheap, it is available everywhere, it is effective, and every summer millions of people pay energy bills they do not have to pay because nobody told them about it. Now let me talk about ventilation more specifically, because the direction of airflow inside the house matters as much as whether the windows are open. Heat rises. This is the most important fact about indoor heat management. The hottest air in any room collects at the ceiling. The coolest air settles near the floor. If you open a window at mid-height on one side of the house and a window at mid-height on the other side, you create horizontal cross-ventilation that moves air through the middle of the room but does not efficiently remove the hottest air collecting at the ceiling. The most effective ventilation setup opens a low window on the cool side of the house, typically the north or east side in the morning, and a high opening on the opposite side. The cool air enters low, pushes across the floor, heats as it contacts the warm surfaces, rises toward the ceiling, and exits through the high opening on the opposite side, carrying the stored heat with it. This is called stack ventilation, and it works because it follows the natural movement of air driven by temperature difference. In practical terms, this means opening a low window on the shaded north side of your home at night and opening the attic hatch or a high window on the south side. The temperature difference between the cool night air outside and the hot air trapped near the ceiling inside creates a natural draft that pulls the hot air up and out and draws cool air in from below. My father called this letting the house breathe from the bottom. He understood the principle intuitively from decades of managing buildings without mechanical systems. An electric fan placed in a high window blowing outward on the downwind side of the house accelerates this process dramatically. A single $20 box fan in a bedroom window blowing out, combined with a low window open on the opposite side of the house, can exchange the entire air volume of a small to medium house in about 30 minutes on a calm night. The electric cost of running that fan all night is approximately 10 cents. Compare that to the cost of running a central air conditioning system for the same period. Now, I want to talk specifically to those of you who are older, who live alone, or who are caring for an older parent or neighbour this summer, Because the physiology of heat stress is different in older adults, and the warning signs are different, and missing them is what puts people in the hospital. The human body cools itself primarily through sweating. As sweat evaporates from the skin surface, it carries heat away from the body. This system works efficiently in a healthy young adult. In adults over 65, this system is often compromised in several ways. The sweat glands become less active with age, producing less sweat in response to heat. The blood vessels near the skin surface become less responsive, reducing the body's ability to move heat from the core to the surface. Many common medications taken by older adults, including diuretics, antihistamines, beta blockers, and certain blood pressure medications, further impair the body's heat response. And critically, the thirst sensation diminishes with age, meaning older adults often do not feel thirsty, even when they are becoming dangerously dehydrated. Harold did not feel thirsty. That is not unusual for a 71-year-old man. It is a physiological reality of aging. Which means waiting until you feel thirsty to drink water during a heat wave is not a reliable safety strategy for older adults. The correct approach is scheduled hydration, regardless of thirst. A full glass of water every hour during hot weather. Set an alarm if necessary. This is not optional. Dehydration accelerates heat stress significantly. And in older adults, it happens faster and with less warning than in younger people. The warning signs of heat exhaustion that Harold showed and that everyone watching this needs to know include heavy sweating, or conversely, the absence of sweating in a hot environment. Cool, pale, clammy skin, or hot, dry skin. A fast, weak pulse. Nausea, dizziness, muscle cramps, tiredness, weakness, and headache. If you or someone near you shows these signs during hot weather, move immediately to the coolest available location. Apply cool, wet cloths to the skin, and drink cool water if conscious and able to swallow. If symptoms do not improve within 15 minutes, or if the person loses consciousness, call emergency services immediately. Heat stroke is the advanced stage, and it is a medical emergency. The skin is hot, red, and dry. The person is confused or losing consciousness. The body temperature is above 103 degrees Fahrenheit. This is life-threatening. Call emergency services immediately. I am telling you these signs in detail because Harold's daughter told me afterward that she wished someone had told her what to look for earlier in the week when Harold first started feeling unusual. By the time she called me, the situation had progressed to the point where he was in serious danger. The signs of heat exhaustion appear hours before it becomes dangerous. Knowing them and acting on them early makes the difference. Now let me talk about the rooms that matter most and the specific strategies for each one. The bedroom is the most critical room in the house for an older adult during a heat wave. Because nighttime sleep is when the body performs most of its restorative functions, and because a hot bedroom prevents the deep sleep that the body needs to recover from the physiological stress of a hot day. Research published in medical journals shows that the optimal sleep temperature for adults is between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. During a heat wave, a bedroom without active cooling can reach 85 to 95 degrees at bedtime, even after the daytime high has passed. The strategies for the bedroom are the same ventilation principles applied specifically to that room. Open the bedroom window wide during the coolest part of the night, typically between 2 and 5 in the morning. Place a fan in or near the window, drawing outside air into the room. If the outside air is cooler than the inside air, or blowing room air out if you have cross ventilation established from a window on the opposite side of the house. Place a shallow pan or bowl of ice in front of a fan blowing toward the bed. As the fan passes air over the ice, the air cools through evaporation before reaching you. This is the principle of an evaporative cooler applied at bedroom scale using materials already in your kitchen. A standard ice cube tray of ice in a mixing bowl in front of a box fan will lower the temperature of the air reaching the bed by 5 to 10 degrees for approximately 2 hours until the ice melts. Refill as needed through the night. Hang damp cotton sheets in doorways and open windows. As air passes through the damp fabric, it evaporates the moisture and cools in the process. This is evaporative cooling at its simplest, and it is the principle behind every traditional hot climate cooling method from the Mediterranean to the Middle East to the American Southwest. A damp sheet in a doorway with a fan drawing air through it toward the sleeping area is remarkably effective in low humidity climates. In high humidity climates, it is less effective because the air is already saturated and evaporation is slower. Know your climate. In the southeast United States, during a humid heat wave, evaporative cooling is less reliable. In the desert Southwest, it is highly effective. The kitchen is the second most important room to manage during a heat wave, because cooking is one of the largest sources of indoor heat generation during summer. An oven running at 350 degrees for an hour raises the kitchen temperature by 10 to 15 degrees, and that heat distributes through the house. During a heat wave, avoid using the oven entirely if possible. Cook on the stovetop using the minimum burner time. Better yet, cook in the early morning before the day heats up, and eat cold or room temperature food through the hot hours. My grandmother cooked everything before 8 in the morning during hot spells, and the kitchen stayed manageable through the afternoon. A propane camp stove on the porch or in the yard keeps all cooking heat outside the house. A covered porch with a camp stove is a complete summer kitchen that costs nothing beyond what you already own. Every hot meal cooked outside is 15 degrees of indoor heat you did not have to manage. The attic is the largest source of indoor heat that most people never address. On a hot summer day, the air temperature inside an unventilated attic reaches 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That superheated air and the superheated roof structure radiate heat downward through the ceiling into the living space below, continuously throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Adding attic ventilation, which in many homes simply means ensuring the existing attic vents are unobstructed, dramatically reduces the heat load on the living space below. If your attic has no ventilation, a single attic ventilation fan costs $20 to $40 and can be installed in an afternoon. The reduction in ceiling radiant heat in the rooms below is immediate and significant. Placing reflective insulation, which is essentially a double layer of bubble wrap with aluminium foil on both sides, on the attic floor between the floor joists, reduces the heat transmitted from the hot attic air into the ceiling of the living space below. This material costs approximately 25 cents per square foot, and a 10 by 10 foot section placed over the area above the most used rooms in summer provides a meaningful reduction in ceiling heat transfer. This is a one-time investment that pays back in reduced indoor temperatures and reduced cooling costs every summer for the life of the house. Let me bring this back to where we started. Harold is 83 years old now, still in his house, still in his recliner on summer afternoons. But now every south and west facing window in his house has aluminium foil on the inside from June through August. He opens his windows every night after 10 when the temperature drops, and closes them every morning before 10 when it rises. He has a box fan in his bedroom window. He drinks a glass of water every hour when it is hot, whether he feels thirsty or not. His daughter bought him a digital indoor thermometer for $15 that he checks every afternoon. If it reads above 85 degrees, he calls her. The summer after the heat wave, his daughter asked me what I had told him to do. I told her nothing he did not already know how to do. He just needed someone to tell him to do it. That is what this video is. Someone telling you to do it. The knowledge of how to manage a home through extreme conditions, whether it is summer heat or winter cold or a power outage that lasts 9 days the way ours did 4 winters ago, is knowledge that my family has accumulated across generations of living close to the land and to the reality of what a house needs to be livable. It is knowledge that gets written down because it deserves to be preserved. The household methods, the seasonal management systems, the food preservation knowledge that lets you stay fed when the stores are not accessible, the healing plant preparations my family has relied on for generations, including the remedies that help the body manage heat stress that have been in our kitchen since long before any of us were born. All of it is in the books. The link is in the description, or find everything on our channel. Check on your older neighbours this summer. If you are an older person watching this, share this video with someone who loves you. Check your indoor temperature this afternoon. If it is above 85 degrees, open the windows after dark tonight and put foil on the west-facing windows tomorrow morning. $4, 15 minutes. It could be the most important thing you do this summer. Tell me in the comments what your summer heat situation is. What climate are you in? What kind of house? How hot does it get inside? I read every comment and I answer as many as I can, because every situation is different and I want to help you find the solution that works for your specific home. Next time, I am going to show you the winter insulation method my father used on every window and door in this house that costs almost nothing and cuts heating costs by 30 to 40%. The same method that kept this farmhouse warm through decades of hard winters before anyone on this road had central heating. I will see you then.